Okay, the first part is to download the required JavaScript and CSS file. So jQuery mobile, you can simply visiting jQuery mobile website, you can download the required file. It's slightly a huge one, so go to download. If you could not download, let me know. I'll give you a link, separate link for that to download, or you can use a CDN or content delivery network URL to access them. But depends on, if it is blocked, you will have a little difficulty. I would recommend a local copy installed in your machine. So all you need to go and download the latest one. I would recommend for 1.4.5. So it looks like the latest one. You can go ahead and download it. I hope it is downloading. I think I already have a copy over here. Okay, it's done. Here it is. So when you extract them, you'll see bunch of files, huge files. But to start with, we're really going to need maybe two or three files maybe. Very important one is minified file, jQuery mobile min.js. You can even use the source file, but I would recommend minified file. You know that minified is a compressed, I mean the white space is removed so that the size would be smaller. So this one and the CSS file, these two is actually more than enough to start with. So first let me create a project, then you can go ahead. And also you would also need jQuery, the one you downloaded in the previous project, because it's going to complement, so you would still need a jQuery.js file or what you downloaded. So let me create a new project. Any name. So I just created a project. I'm just going to copy them in the respective folders. I'm going to create a couple of folders. CSS. Let me copy them. The JS file comes here, and I also need the other JS file. I mean the jQuery mobile minified file, that is important. So that also I'll copy from other project. So this two goes. So this is the jQuery mobile required functions. Everything is here. So this is very important, and also make sure you download the other jQuery from the website. And CSS, let me see this one. Copy the CSS. CSS also minified. Minified means white space removed, but you can somehow read it. But I would recommend minified because slightly the page size would be smaller. We can easily load, because remember CSS should be loaded on the header, so should not block your page. And this also recommended, copy the images folder, put it in the CSS file, because the CSS may be having some sort of image backgrounds or something called. Especially if you notice there is a Ajax loader is there, so page transition small loader would appear. So these are all the files are more than enough to start with. So what are the thing I copied? jQuery mobile.minified JavaScript file, and of course our legacy or older, one which we created for our HTML5 project. We downloaded jQuery file, that also finds a place. And of course in the CSS folder I copied the CSS file. And the rest of the images is something I copied. So this is more than enough to start with, and we have an index page. Okay, now integrate them in your project. or in the file. First, integrate your what you call CSS file. External style sheet this time. Should be href. I hope you know how to call the external style sheet. If not, you may just note it down. This is how you can call the external style sheet. We usually wrote the style sheet thing in the page itself, this time an external style sheet. And call your script files. Not necessary to be in header, but okay, it's a simple example. I'm just going to first one, make sure that jQuery is first called, and then jQuery mobile. So that's it. And I already have a div, and I'm going to create mobile pages, jQuery mobile pages to start with. This data binds something to do with the knockout framework, so don't consider that. Data role. This particular DOM or this div is going to behave as a page. So very first one. If you have more than one page in the HTML, it's recommended to keep an ID. Page 1 in name. Now inside a page there is going to be a header. I was talking about header. After the header you have one more div. Of course we usually keep the content. We call it as a main, or the content where it is going to find a place. I mean the base content, whatever we are going to display. And finally footer. We just started a basic design, header, main content, and the footer. So what do you really want to display? You may put a h1, my first, and say copyright something, right? 2016, whatever you'd like to put. And something we can create over here. Before that, let me see how it looks like. Not bad. That's a problem. Header, footer, there's no content. None of the content is there. They'll both merge together. We can fix it by defining data position set to fixed. Header will be sticking into the top, and footer also going to be stick to footer, bottom. So when I fix them, you nicely get a interface, header, footer, and the rest of the space reserved for your content to appear. The best idea would be seeing in this way. A simple mobile page. We will run it on the phone to enjoy the entire pure example on how to see them as a mobile app. But at least for testing purpose, a header and footer has been created and space ready for the content to appear. Now let me put a unordered list over here. Data role this time is going to be list view. And the list items going to appear. These things you already know, but the data role attribute something is actually making all the changes. Data hyphen, because data is a pseudo tag in HTML5, and these things further added by jQuery mobile to identify the DOM and apply the style sheet or whatever design defined in the CSS file. A hyperlink, say something. Unordered list having a data role set to list view. How it looks. You see them? A nicely created list view that all the styles applied. Of course, ready to be clicked, but I haven't given a href any value, so it's not going to do anything. But at least notice a nicely created list view appears. And additional one more thing, we can also set data hyphen inset to true. If I make it as a set, it will look like a grouped. Okay, data inset true or false. Let me see. Make any change. Okay, I'll come back to that, but I really prefer to be looked much cleaner. That's great. This looks much better because touching the edges is not a good design. We often prefer something look perfect with the sufficient padding added. What I really did is usually the data role having a main attribute has a style sheet attached UI content by default. Maybe due to some reason it did not pick up, so I forced it to get a design added as a UI content. So as of now, just keep it okay. Main UI content you need to put it. So now a simple mobile design created with a header with various links and a couple of nice transition. If you notice, a slightly kind of changes happening. We'll also put the menu floating. What do you call drawer menu, navigation drawer menu? What we call. Let's see how we can put that. The header is already a sufficiently placed one. The moment I put a href, it created a button. Remember, it's just a href tag. I didn't even specify any data role to start with, but automatically it added extreme left one particular, of course, data role set to left by default, and it created a button for me, and of course ready to be clicked. And this can be further designed in such a way. Data icon, the menu. Now there is no menu. Okay, I'll use the settings one. This is what I remember, but I'll give you the list of designs whatever available. There's a bunch of icons. Gear mean, if you see, that's this small settings look like icon has been put over here. Or if you really want to display only icon, you can do data icon position set to icon POS. Okay, no text. If you set the value no text, you will only see the icon. You won't be see the text here. A single href tag has been made into look like a smaller button in the header. Now time to connect them. Okay, so this is where the page 1 starts and end. Make sure you create a panel inside the page 1 because this is going to appear in the page 1 itself. This particular div is going to have a data role panel. It is going to behave as a panel. And okay, further the panel is going to contain, assume, a list view with the various link. Could be anything. I prefer to keep a list view. Okay. As soon as I define the panel, I'm really not going to see it because the panel is a container will only appear when certain or you manually call it, or because the panel usually a overlay or something is going to be on the top is going to appear, so that kind of a nature it has. So I need to tell panel, okay, by default it's going to have something, and id will give identifier for this panel, panel 1. Okay. We are going to display this panel. Remember, hash mean number, id. Whenever href is clicked, it's going to look for an id called panel 1, and what it really does we will come to know once we run. Notice that just things were pushed and this thing appears. I can click anywhere outside, it just disappears, and of course you can slide, I mean swipe also, swipe in, swipe out, you can get it. A little panel got created. I think fine, but let me slightly do a contrast. I'm going to define data theme set to, I told you there are 3 different themes available. By default theme A has been loaded, the white color one. There is a theme called B. I'm going to load a different theme for this one so that a contrast design appears. So a panel menu appears when certain action performed and you really see something moving up. See, if you see that the panel actually pushing the page 1, slightly pushing and appears. You can slightly change its behavior as well by defining data display overlay. Overlay mean float, the kind of on the top itself. Now if you see that the page remains static behind and it just float on the top, whatever design you want, you can do it. Of course this panel can have any kind, for example, your login information or your icon, your photo, something, your additional menu, you can keep it over here, and clicking them you can load multiple pages to whatever. So a simple design. Okay, let me create one more page. We'll link the pages. So just created a single page application. We'll create one more page so that how we can link them. Okay, so the placement is very important. Remember this particular DOM div behave as a page, and this ID is having page 1, assuming this is the first page. Make sure you create one more div outside of that div. So define its data role as page and ID page 2, second page. jQuery Mobile allows you to create as many as pages in the single HTML document itself, one, or you can very well create an additional HTML file and link them, whatever way you feel. But for this example, I'll make it as a single page or single document design. jQuery Mobile is going to load everything into a single page only still, but it can also have an inline DOM treated as a different page, or it can be an external .html file treated as an additional page. But this example, it's an inline DOM. So this is the second page, same, but we'll create a couple of changes. Uh, page 2. This is the second page. It's going to have its own header, footer, and other stuff. Whatever. Don't expect for your suggestion to appear as a pseudo tag. Okay, so everything you need to hard code and do it. And it is going to be main content, and this is something I fixed needed, UI content class. And this is where the additional content is going to be placed, but we haven't added anything. So assuming second page created, this time let me use a data theme C, different theme. The second page slightly looks in a different way, and having a page ID, call this page ID wherever you want, and I'm going to call this whenever the go to page 2 is clicked. Page 2. If you notice that the second page loaded, having a slightly a kind of different high contrast theme, looks like it's a different theme, but looks like a dead end. We didn't give a back button to go back, so we cannot keep trusting on this one to go back. It's better because if you are loading that into a mobile phone as a native app, you should explicitly give a back button to go. So let me see if I can add a back button over there, or data theme B, how it looks like, that also we'll verify. We have already seen it. It's a black theme. Okay, it looks fine. Let me add a button. In header, href itself by default becomes a button, so we already know. There is one more pseudo tag, jQuery mobile tag, data relation or rel. If you set to back, it will automatically try to load the previous DOM. The back button, clicking, it just takes me back. So we'll put some icon, data icon. There is a back, but icon is available, I remember. So a small back icon appears. Clicking it, going to take the user. Okay, and if you really want to have some sort of transition, data transition, say slide effect, small animation. Clicking it, it just slided and displayed the second page. So there are 5 transition available. I remember. Let me see those transition. Let me, maybe from my old example I should be having. Slide. Okay, pop, slide, pop, flip, turn, flow, slide down, slide up. So totally 7 transition available. Okay, we'll do them. Maybe we'll call the same page with the different transitions. Pop, flip, turn, flow. Even though we are loading the same page, the different transition we are going to apply. After flow, slide down. So we've added a couple of transitions. So this one we already know, and this one slightly popping, flipping, what we call that turning, I hope, and flow, just like, and slide up, sorry, slide down, and this is slide up. So different transitions available. So you can create a you can connect the transition with the link so that the next DOM or next page will appear with the required transition. iPhones, I remember having this transition quite often, and some phone will have a, I mean, like, vendor modified Android versions will have a different transitions moving between different screens. So whatever is suitable for you, you feel you can do that, and you can very well create a mobile experience to the user quite easily. So this is a small intro of your jQuery mobile. With couple of data role attribute value we just defined, and we created certain design out of the box. I haven't even written even a single line of JavaScript code so far. Of course, we have to write a lot of JavaScript code anyway, but a basic design could be created. Defining data role using them as a designing concept is actually the jQuery mobile strategy. Maybe here and there are a couple of additional data, like, transition, data position, and all the stuff there. But it's pretty easy to start with a jQuery mobile design. All you need these 3 additions, and you can very well create a mobile ready page. But this is not enough. How it will be looking like in the iPhone, that also we will test it now. Okay, first thing I need to know where my file is located. My project has been written in NetBeans folder, NetBeans projects folder. Okay, I'm going to use Cordova, Apache Cordova. First, before that, what is Apache Cordova? That also I'll tell you. You can install. There is no restriction in your Mac machine. That's pretty obvious. Anything we can install without any restriction. Apache Cordova can be installed in Windows also, but maybe there would be a restriction. If you are using Apache Cordova in Windows environment, you may not be able to create iOS app, iOS build. Android, Windows possible. I really don't know. I had to refer the document because Windows and that iOS build is pretty difficult. But if you're using Mac, you can create Windows build, iOS build, Android build, everything you can create. Apache Cordova is an open source community. Mobile apps with HTML, CSS, JavaScript target multiple platform, one code base, free and open source codes. If these are Android, Apple, Windows, BlackBerry, and plus 4 more. And these are all the OSs. You can convert the HTML code into a native application. It has required files and exporters to handle the tasks. How to install those things? The procedure slightly, you know, uh, maybe different. Yeah, so installation procedure already been given, but to make sure to install Apache Cordova, you should have your Node.js first installed. That is also, you can download the Node.js from the Node.js respective site. In this machine, I have already installed them, and I'll also tell you where to refer or how to get the Node.js. So download Node.js. Node.js, I hope you know, uh, it's entirely based on the JavaScript build, and you can very well create a server level or server instance using Node.js. So because it's purely written on JavaScript and the compiler does natively talk to the operating system. So there are various download options available. You can download the Mac installer is the right one for you to install instead of source code or any other version. Once you copy and once you download, it will guide you through the process on how to set it up. Once the Node.js is installed, you can in the command line you can call this one to have your project, Cordova installed. I have already set this up. So I'm going to use this to create a native application of what we have just created. Remember, this is the app we have created, and we are going to convert that app into a native application. To make that, I have no time to search the document. Maybe, yeah, here it is. Anyways, platform guide is more than enough. Okay, these 4 lines are more than enough to create your native application. Okay, let me open my terminal. So this is my terminal, or what we call command line for Windows. So pretty much most of the time we'll be spending over here. So, okay. Let me go to I'll create a different folder so that I can keep all the iOS files or whatever I'm going to create. Some folder. You guys are going to spend on time on Mac, right? Get used to terminal level, the guy or something like that. Since you are coming from Windows background, you may be limited to use such thing, but for Unix and Linux or Mac environment, most of the option we will always prefer to work in terminal. It gives us an extensive scope and do a lot of things, like pretty extendable, and we know what we are exactly doing. So I just created a folder. There I'm going to keep my hybrid application. The first one, create a project. Creating a project, what it really saying, Cordova create some name. Okay. Cordova create, and project name, my app name, package name, identifier. Usually app stores maintain its own unique identifier to identify your app. For example, you are creating an app called Temple Run. Temple Run name is already been taken by some other application. So that uniqueness usually identified by the package name or whatever identifier you supply. So this is identifier. usually we give in the package name convention any, like, 3 level deeper, whatever names. This is a folder which is going to be created. Your application name is going to be this one. Once you hit, it will create a Cordova project. If you notice in the folder, you may see a folder called my app, and you have been given bunch of folders on files. In that, if you go to a folder called platforms, you see nothing to start with. None of the platform been added. So I'm just going back and I'm going to add iOS platform, because I told you it's an exporting tool. You can create Android platform, iOS platform, Windows platform, various things you can add. So what is that? Create platform. iOS. Cordova, I hope I need to add a Cordova. So we just added a platform. If you see that CD, I think it's spelling mistake. Oh my God. Right, PLAT. Yeah. Again, I think I'm missing on keyword. Let me see. I'll remove the folders, unwanted folders. Remove -remove folder. It's a command line Unix stuff. Okay. What else? Platforms is the one which the Cordova created. This is something wrong. That also I'll remove. RF platform. Okay, so now Cordova create Cordova platform add. I hope. Am I miss? Yeah, so it's add. I was missing the add keyword. Cordova platform add iOS. Now it makes sense. So it does work. You would need active internet to do this. CD platform. Sorry, forms. If you see that one folder called iOS created now. It creates a completely qualified Xcode project, so that you can go ahead and open in Xcode, do a further modification. So but I'm not done yet. Let's keep this terminal open. Let me go back to the root folder of my app. CD space dot will take you to the before folder. I hope you know that the convention is of course is a Unix convention. Now I need to find where my project is created. In my Finder, I kept my project in NetBeans projects. So this is where I have my project. It is called, I remember it is called my JQM app. My JQM app. This is where my project is located. This is where my entire HTML file. Hope you know that these are all the files I created. Copy them. Copy that file. Go to the folder where you ran the Cordova project, where you created the Cordova project. I created my additional hard drive and my hybrid apps folder, and there my app. In that, the platform, we have iOS folder created anyway. In the www folder, just paste whatever the content. I mean, we just copy it. Of course, it will give you a warning because the file is already existing. I'm just going to replace them. Replace all. Just copy them here. Once you are done with that, go back here. Cordova build. It will build and create the necessary binaries. I should get a success, something like that. Okay, build succeeded. So once you succeed, then now if you go to this folder, platforms, iOS, you have an Xcode project created for you. Xcode, something you are going to spend much more time with iOS development process. So anyway, open the Xcode. You can simply click on the Xcode project file and your Xcode will open. Yes, yeah. So your Xcode is open and this is what your entire JavaScript project converted into a Xcode project now. Out of the box is ready. Your view controllers are here. View controllers, I'll let you know what is view controllers when I start with iOS session. Or at least you may need to say the very first window which is going to display your main app. Your JavaScript HTML files what you created finds a place over here. And there are a couple of configurations there. Now I'm going to see how it looks like in the emulator. Smaller emulator I'll get maybe 6 will be fine. Just building. Let's wait until our emulator appears. It comes here. Depending on your system memory availability, it may take a little while, and when you're done, you're expected to see your app installed. So this is your application, and of course all the stuff will work out of the box. It runs on the phone. When it runs on the emulator, naturally it can be installed in the phone. So the entire native, I think it's okay, that we will fix it. So let's see, going to home, see it's been installed as a native app. So this is your emulator, and you can have it as a native app installed in the phone itself. So out of the box things work as you expect. I haven't added anything here. So a simple hybrid app. We wrote in JavaScript HTML and we exported to a native application, or we made it as a native application and we installed it as a standalone application in the phone itself. You can also create Android build, and you can, if you have Android Studio installed in your computer, you can see them and install in Android phone. If you really want to install that in your iPhone, you should be a registered developer, then only it can be installed on the device. Without registration or without having developer access, it's impossible in iOS development to install your application in the device. So you should be a registered Apple developer. It costs around $99. So yeah, I'll go immediately, or okay, okay, fine, I'll go now. Okay, so we do it. Maybe you guys can go for a break. I'll also let you know how to remove that I need to write some little Objective-C code to something like a status bar slightly overlow, on the top it appears. We'll make it as a full screen app to remove that. Maybe if I remember, prefer status bar hidden if I set to return. System is a bit slow. Okay, that's an Objective-C part. System is set to S. I just made a change. Let me see how it looks. Yeah, now it doesn't display, and we have a nice look and feel, and it appears on the phone. Okay, so I'll upload the code. Maybe after the break you can try that. You can test it on the browser up to. Take your time to install the Cordova and Node.js. I'll assist you anyway. If you have a time, maybe tomorrow we'll spend time on setting up the Cordova stuff, because it really would take some time to understand the hooks behind it. We'll freshly install them tomorrow. As anyway, you don't have any assessment and anything blocking now, right? So we can proceed further. Okay. So I can go for a break.